I'm Laura Elizabeth Hughes and I'm here today with IndieBuddie.com. The majority of my work has come from personal experience and the people that have come in and out of my life, whether it's a way of dealing or processing or just reliving moments for myself. So it's quite a personal experience. And they all start with a bit of a ramble, right, where just something will come into my head about how I'm feeling, or how somebody has said something, and it'll just start this journey of words across paper. But generally speaking, everything starts with the words, which is very important to me. Some things fall out of the sky. Some things take a lot of time to work on in creating something that is going to stick in people's heads or that works specific with the story. I think the melody and lyrics, they have to sit well with each other's meanings, instead of just having something throwaway that's going to stick in people's heads. So there's a fine balance in getting, meaning and sonic elements to sit right together. So when you put it straight like that, it's a little bit terrifying. But I mean, I'm all for, being honest, and whether it might be wrapped in some lyrical pretense, but at the end of the day, art is meant to be honest, and it's the reason that I think a lot of singer-songwriters make music, and as much as they're my experiences, music is such a connective thing that if somebody hears some lyrics, like I have done countless times myself, and can relate their experience to something you've gone through, it kind of makes this human existence a little less lonely, I guess. I've had that happen a good few times at shows where somebody will just point out a lyric and they're like, that really hit me, and that singular moment that was your experience is now a shared thing between people, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. To be honest, I've not done any formal training or anything like that, but I've been singing since I was this small, and I did musical theatre in school and like loads of things through college, so I've always had a love of singing, and it's something that I would be scared of, like I have been scared to go get training of any sort or anything like that. I don't know whether it would change how natural what I do is, I guess. I suppose I've always had it in me to sing and to make that emotive connection with people. I mean, I'm thinking back to shows in school where my homeroom teacher was one of the musical directors that we worked with, and she would have us repeat songs over and over and over again, and every single night during a run of a show, during a particular song, seeing her cry side stage was like amazing, to think that somebody's voice could do that to somebody, which is a bit of both. So I would I'd have some form of words formulated at the start, and whether it's sitting down at the piano or sitting down with my guitar, and just a kind of end up saying, like, talking absolute nonsense into something just starts to flow, and you get your little block, and then you just build around that, and you're trying to tell a story while also tell a story that might not exist, by pouring your own experiences into it, or pouring your own experiences into something and then building off that, and then I mean, it could take, like I said, it could take 10 minutes, it could fall out of the sky, or it could be something that has to be crafted and laboured over a little bit as a labour of love for however long, I suppose. A little bit. I suppose it's all a learning and a growing process, regardless of how expertise you get. But when I started, I was very lucky to have a good team of people around me that knew a good team of people. So I was always in really good hands. But it's a daunting prospect, or it was, to put these darlings that I'd made or had written that were like so precious to me into the hands of somebody else to mold them into something bigger. I've been very, very fortunate in that the past 2 or 3 years I've met some incredible people that I've been working with musically, that just once the trust is there, it's just like you walk into the studio and you sit around, and it could be, you could be there at 3 o'clock in the morning working things out, but it's just that human process between sharing and working things out, which can be overwhelming, because sometimes if you're a little bit too close to songs, you can't see the wood for the trees, and it's just this, you don't know where things to go, so putting it into somebody else's hands is kind of liberating a little bit, I guess. No solo for the majority of my gigs, until there's something special or big happening. It's nice to just have myself, guitar, and the audience. Big time. I 100%, I would prefer to be standing on the stage with, say, myself, maybe another person, but just to have that intimacy with people. It depends on how big the next shows that I end up doing get. I mean, it would be lovely to be able to go onto a stage somewhere like Vicar Street or anything, somewhere like that, on my own, and be able to have that connection with that many people in one room. But like I said, with the smaller shows, I prefer to keep it the personal connection there. Plans for, I suppose, next release, theme wise and vibe wise, I guess it's going to be along the same lines. It's with little dips out here and there, like The Way For You. The song I just released has still got all the very core elements of what I do, which is emotion mixed with something that is just that little bit bigger, that, I don't know, broadens the sonic landscape in it and can reach out to a different audience that I might not have been, on the cusp of listening to singer-songwriters. So it's nice to be able to have those songs that can be performed on stage with me and a guitar, but can be performed like they were in the recordings. So going forward, I guess, it's just wherever the songs take me. I mean, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into creating something specific going forward. It's just, you kind of got to let the creative process do what it does best and create what needs to be created, I guess. So In My Defense was this song that I had where I wasn't sure where she was to sit. She was quite up-tempo, which didn't fit in a lot of places in my set, so I was finding it difficult to produce the song in ways that my previous songs had been produced, which was, there was kind of a comfort and a tension mixed with beauty mixed into the Ceremony EP. And I knew I still wanted to have that weave in and out, but it was one of those songs where I was like, let's just have a bit of fun with this. Not everything has to be somber, and life isn't like that. It's still, if you listen to the lyrics of it, it's still got that downbeat feel to it. I had a friend of mine message me after it, and she said, I thought this was good. John, her boyfriend, was like, this sounds really upbeat. What's this? This is not Laura. And he was like, oh, it's just sad in disguise, which is a really lovely way of putting the experimental nature of it down too. The Thousand Beasts track was a long process. Cian Sweeney, the guy who is behind the mastermind behind the entire collaborative project, is an incredible producer, and was sat down. We were writing lyrics. We couldn't figure out where it wanted to go, so I sat down at the piano on my own after we had been working together on the actual the music and the sonic side of it, and just tried to write the lyrics. They would be my forte over the actual musicality of everything. So it was a long process. I think it took us six or 7 months to get it right. Now, the perfectionism that was needed in getting every little element there to balance this big electronic sound with my vocal, which is not a big electronic sound, was a bit of an arduous process. So it took a while, but it was the first proper time I've sat and collaborated with somebody on something that was bigger than both of us, and I think it turned out pretty well. It's one of my favourite things that I've created. Yeah, I have it in my head when I'm creating things that are larger than just myself. I really like the idea of mixing the silk of what I do with gravel and like that kind of textured, so that it just sits really nicely together, creates that tension, but that can still wrap around you, I guess. Yeah, it's a weird out of line to toe, because a lot of the stuff, most of the stuff that I write is like incredibly personal, and when family hear it, it's as much as they can appreciate the craftsmanship and the beauty and the musicality of it, it's still difficult for like my parents especially. The EP that I wrote, the Ceremony, when I wrote that, I was in a very, very, very dark place, and it took me 3 years to start to record it, because I could, like, after I had written the songs, because every time I played them or did anything like that, like, I'd see my dad just it just broke his heart. But to be able to turn those bad times, or those incredibly emotional and intensively emotional times, into something tangible that you can grow from, your family and friends do see it as that, because they'd be mad if they didn't, but it's more daunting for family, and like especially family, to hear it. I have new stuff that was written a couple of weeks ago. I came home from having finished writing them and done some rough recordings, and my dad couldn't listen to it, which is very rare. So it's obviously just you have that rawness, and maybe it just takes time that for yourself to heal past and through things, and then for other people to move on, and with you to look at them in retrospect rather than as a current thing. But yeah, it's a daunting thing, even at gigs. Like, I would much prefer to play to a room full of people that I have no idea, I don't know them, than a room full of family and friends. Okay. Because it's just that, like, yeah. Oh, it depends on what side. I suppose I can only speak to the songwriter and singer side of things. It's just to, one, don't be afraid of yourself, because you are the only person that can get in your way when you're writing. It can be a lot of fun. It can be a lot of hard work. The majority hard work, but still a lot of fun. And just to not take everything too seriously. That it's art, and it's meant to be enjoyed. Whether or not it's on the sad side, like what I do. And to read loads. I'm a firm believer that all writers should be readers. It's a really important thing. Writers need to read other writers, and whether it's listening to other music, reading books, reading lyrics, anything like that, I think it should be your words are your calling card as a songwriter, and the power that you have when you can wield words is amazing. I'm guilty of that too. I mean, I had a friend of mine in the last couple of weeks where I was pushed really hard to be very honest in the songs that I've just written, and I cried. It's the part of the process. You have to dust off all the rough edges and get through it. Otherwise, I mean, what's the point of going through all of these things if you can't make something of them? But it is a very scary thing to allow yourself to be that vulnerable, not only to other people but to yourself, because I mean, there are times when you just want to shut up shop and close the doors to what you're feeling and not acknowledge them. But it's once you start not acknowledging things, they just bottle. And especially as musicians, I think as creative beings, we are innately more focused in on our motives, like beings. So it's really important to not shy away from those I suppose the honesty that should be on show. It's still there. I think you still have to be able to access the headspace that you were in when you wrote that level of emotion, obviously you can't bleed on your audience. It's it's not a good look. So it's being able to access the emotions and the memories that came with the writing of the material is incredibly important, because it all feeds into the performance of what you're doing, which is what people are there for. It's to, as much as they're there to, you know, to connect with people, they're like, it has to be a performance. If I was just to stand on stage and, you know, not emote, not connect with what I'm singing, it would be the most boring thing in the entire world. So yeah, it's incredibly important. Yeah, it's mad to be like, ordinarily, like I'm a point on the back of the wall, I'm just singing down the back, and then there'll be like pregnant pauses where obviously because I'm all in what I'm doing, and then I'll come down for a moment and there'll just be like that silence, and that's an incredible feeling. That is, it's the highlight of when I'm performing, that, you know, you are on that connective level with people, that it just blows my mind sometimes to think that there's people out there that I've never met in my entire life that are sharing this right now in complete silence, which is amazing. Yeah, it's an incredible feeling, and it just, the power that music has to do that to a room of strangers is amazing. What's next? Well, I have a gig tonight actually for the Temple Bar Tradfest, and then I've got some shows coming up, which I've got some shows coming up in March with Cry Monster Cry, and I'll be in Cork, Belfast and Galway. And then myself, I have a headline show in the Sound House on the 9th of April, which I'm hoping will just be this wonderful night of music, words, poetry, just loads of beautiful things.